now tuned in to The Real and the Raw with Queen Renny.
All right, y'all. Welcome back to The Real and the Raw. It's your girl, Queen Renny. I hope this week was nothing but success for you. And if it wasn't, just like last week, I'm sending all the love and positivity your way. But let's get real and let's jump right into it. Let's start this episode off with my favorite segment of the show, The Real Read Back. Okay, so we got some questions and we got some comments, and I think we got some shade to throw into the mix. But first, okay, there's something that I have to speak on really quickly. So last week, when we were talking about the Amber Geiger case and what the judge did and what the bailiff did, I had mentioned that the judge couldn't come to my barbecue at the end. So if you didn't catch that episode, I'll catch y'all up real quick. So basically, we're talking about the Amber Geiger case, the off-duty police officer that is responsible for taking the life of both of them, John. She was convicted as a murderer, and she was given a 10-year sentence. So last week we were discussing how some of us feel like that sentence was unfair. Some of us are okay with it and what have you. But we also brought up the behavior of the judge in that case and the bailiff who, from our perspective, the bailiff was brushing the murderer's hair. And the judge had offered the murderer a Bible. She gave her a hug. And so we were discussing what we thought about their actions in that professional setting. But so what I did a little bit more research, and I came across an interview that the judge did. I think it was on the Tamarind show. I'll provide a link below. But basically the judge explained in further detail why she did what she did, but also why, the bailiff did what she did. So like I said, it was a misconception, basically. So the bailiff wasn't touching the murderer's hair. The judge gave insight, and she basically said that the bailiff was checking the murderer's hair for contraband. So she said if you've ever been, in the courthouse, you know that any female that comes in and is on trial or anything like that, they have to, pat down your hair, flip it, and make sure you're not hiding anything in it. So the judge said that is actually what the bailiff was doing. Now, look, I don't know if she's telling the truth or not, but hey, I'm just here to let y'all know what she had to say. But as far as the judge and her own actions, she said that basically, in her being a Christian, she was trying to show that just because this woman had faults, though she had sinned, she wanted her to understand that, God still loved her. And I guess, me being the Christian that I am, I can understand her actions. I can understand her, wanting any and everybody, sinner, non-sinner, whatever it is, to understand that it's never too late for them to be, accepted and loved by God. Now, because everybody doesn't run their life based off of their faith, or some of us don't have, a certain faith that we trust and believe in, I can understand how some people will see it, simply as I did last week, like post-traumatic slave syndrome, right? Like she's loving, her oppressors. But I guess, after rethinking it and hearing her words on it, I can understand her perspective a little bit better. Even though I personally think I would have appreciated her actions as a Christian a little bit more had she showed the same love and support to the John family, as well as her offering that Christian love and support to the murderer. So I guess I say all of this to say she can come to my barbecue after all. I'm going to still be side-eyeing her a little bit, though. But comment and let me know if you feel some type of way about that, because I know some of y'all are probably like, here she go, changing her mind. We was with her last week. I don't know about this week, but that's cool. You don't have to agree with me, right? Because we talked about, not everybody looking like us, not everybody thinking about like us, but we still, should respect them. So comment down below if you got something to say on that topic. But I mean, I just want us to also understand, and I think it's important that I, came back on here to let you all know that, I have a different perspective on it now, because I want us to understand that it's okay to change our minds. Once our beliefs have been challenged, it is okay to change our thoughts. That doesn't make us fake. It doesn't make us phony. It actually makes us more human, and more real if we're able to, understand that maybe the way that we were once thinking about something, isn't necessarily the way we want to continue to think, or maybe we've come up with better facts, and now, what we once thought, and now we know it's not true. We can actually accept, what the actual facts of the matter are. So I think it's important to note that, like I said last episode, we don't have to agree on everything, but it doesn't mean we throw them away, especially our own people. Like, no, I don't see, eye to eye what the judge did as something I would do. But that doesn't mean that I no longer respect her as a Black woman, or just a woman, or in person in general. I think we have to start getting away from lining up our thoughts on somebody's actions, and lining that up with how we feel about them. I was having a conversation with a friend earlier this week, and I was saying how I may not agree with you. I may not like what you're doing, but that shouldn't reflect how I feel about you in general as a person, as a human being on this earth. So I'm gonna eat my words, y'all, and I'm gonna keep it pushing, because I'm always keep it real. So now that y'all know, Queen Renny can change her mind, and so can you. But like I said, I'm going to provide y'all with a link to the interview, so you can hear it for yourselves, come to your own thoughts, conclusions, and perspectives on it. But with that being said, okay, I know I held y'all for a little long. Let's jump into these questions and comments, all right? Because I'm kind of excited to see what y'all had to say about last week's episode and the situations and everything. So I'm on the YouTube channel. I didn't get any emails, so no anonymous people. So I'll be giving some shout outs. So that girl Jay on YouTube, she said, I agree. I can't believe she was sentenced to 10 years for taking a life. When there is a lady in prison for sending her daughter to school in another district, when all she wanted to do was better the education for her child. So I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with that case as well. If I remember, I'll try to provide a link at the bottom of this episode, for that article, but it pretty much just discusses, it was this Black woman who, you know how you're supposed to do open enrollment, so there's a certain time frame where you're actually allowed to sign your child up to a school that's outside of their district. Well, we have that in California, but I'm not so sure they have those in other states. And so this woman, she used a different address to have, send her daughter to a school in a better district so that she could have a better education, which is what every parent wants for their child. And she's literally been sitting in jail for months now. They actually, I think, sentenced her to 5 years, if I'm not mistaken, for literally trying to better her child's circumstances. Like, I thought this is what America was about. But yeah, so thank you, that girl Jay. AlleyCat0491 commented and said, love this episode and I am so proud of you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. But she said, I pretty much agree with what you said about the sentence and the way the judge and the deputy reacted towards the murderer. I truly believe that if the officers were Black and the victim was white, the book would have been thrown at the officer. 10 years is all that man's life is worth. So she's questioning, like, that's all that y'all thought was appropriate for somebody, a whole life. He was 26 years old. Like, he had his whole life ahead of him. And she's only going to serve 10 years for taking that away from him. Guaranteed she'll be out way before those 10 years. And as far as the judge and the deputy are concerned, I'm just disgusted with their actions. How dare they hug this murderer, cry with her, and give her a Bible as if she's a victim in front of the actual victim's family. So that was something that I thought was funny too. Like I mentioned, I think I would have appreciated her actions a little bit more had she shown that same love and respect, to the family. Like, they're the ones who are actually grieving from this loss that this woman is responsible for. But thank you, Alley Cat. Okay, we have one more. So Naja Johnson, hey girl, that's my baby. She grown now, but she'll always be my baby. So shout out to Naja. She said, I agree with you. Since marijuana is legalized, the system is taking its sweet time in releasing the people that went to jail for having less than a gram of weed, which is also, I'm sorry, what she said was, which is also wrong, but that's the judicial system. So it sounds like what Naja is saying is that we can't expect anything to work in our favor with the system that was never built to work in our favor. So thank you guys for those comments. I know it was a little juicy talking about the judge because, that can come off as judging somebody, but I appreciate, hearing you guys' thoughts and comments on such a, touchy topic right now. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna drink some water and sip on what y'all had to say, and we'll be right back with today's topic.
Don't wait to find what's in the past. Don't wait to see what's in love.
Okay, so last week's episode was on the justice system, and the Geiger case kind of got me thinking about today's topic, which is mental health. So we're going to dig in and we're going to talk about something that is a controversial topic for most folks in the Black and brown community, and maybe some outside of that community as well. So let's get real and let's get raw. So for those of you that follow me on social media, you've probably seen the challenge that we started called Take Back Your Mind. But first, okay, so if you don't already follow me on Instagram, follow me. It's at @QueenRenny_. And if you don't already follow me on Facebook, it's Sharon Darlene Barnes. I'm not going to go over how to spell all of that. Just figure it out. But anyways, back to the topic. So the challenge that we started is centered around social media. So basically what you do is you post the ways in which you take back your mind. It could be, anything that you decide to do or that you feel is positive for your mental health. So it could be you posting a pic of you working out or drinking water or smoking marijuana if that's what you like. Or even a picture of the sky while you sit outside and relax and just chill from a hard day's work. So in posting these stories, you empower others, to take back their minds, but you also are holding yourself accountable to make sure you're taking time out of each and every day to do something for yourself, your body, your mind. It may not seem like much, but these little things that you do, daily, they can help save you from a mental breakdown. I'm serious. Me taking a second out of my day to drink, my water, which I usually have with me all the time. I don't know where I put it right now, but I have this big, it's like a half-gallon jug water bottle that I take everywhere with me. But me taking a second out of my day to just go sit down and drink as much of that in one sitting as I can is calming for me, because like I said, I work with kids, y'all. They don't care about how I'm feeling. They're gonna give me whatever they have to give each and every day. And then if I'm not fully, prepared to handle that, then that's what ends up, leading to a breakdown. And so let's just be real and raw and be honest. How many of y'all have recently felt like you have nothing left to give? That you just, kind of want to give up because things haven't been going in your favor for however, long. It could be a few months, it could be a few days, it could be a few years. But we all kind of have had time to experience that feeling of oh, what next? Nothing else has been going right. What else could go wrong? I don't know what else to do. I don't know if I can do this anymore. Shoot, I know I have. So this year threw a lot at me that I honestly not too sure that I can handle. But I'm going to tell you guys some of the steps that I've been taking to empower myself and take back my own mind. And so some of those ways that I've done that. So wait, just to give a little bit of background, because some of y'all might be like, well, why are you struggling? What's going on in your situation, to make you even feel like your mental health is suffering? So in June of 2017, I had a miscarriage. And then in 2018, I lost my grandmother. And then in April of 2019, I lost my brother. And so the miscarriage is actually something that we'll talk about on a later episode. But within literally 2 years, 3 people, that I loved, cared about, the child that I wanted to bring into this world and thought about, caring for, were taken from me. And so that kind of led me to feel like I was getting cold inside. You know how like you could feel yourself shutting down and like closing down into this, shell where like you don't want to be reached and you don't want anybody, you don't want to reach out and you don't want anybody to reach you. You just want to be shut off from the world. That's the state that I was in, like literally 2 months ago. Okay. And sometimes, on certain days, currently. But thankfully I had people, around me that weren't afraid to approach me and let me know like, hey, I think you should step outside of your comfort zone and really see some ways that you can get help because we think you need it. Like something, these are traumatic situations that we're dealing with. And for anybody who necessarily can't relate exactly to my situation, I know there are tons of people out there who are hurting or struggling with their own situations. And so I think it's important to have this conversation, obviously. But because I had those people to tell me, push and go find the help that that you really need. And unlike popular opinion, it wasn't substance abuse. So I know a lot of people in my generation and the generations after me think, well, let me just go hit the blunt or let me go take a shot or let me go pop these pills so that I can, erase, for the moment at least, erase all the pain and the hurt that I feel that's not necessarily physical. Because, it's easier to deal with physical pain than it is to deal with mental or emotional pain. And that's not something that we're always taught to deal with growing up. But like I said, it wasn't substance abuse. It was actually an unspoken topic in the Black household, which is therapy. Yep, that's right. This Black queen went and spoke to a stranger about all the things disturbing my mental health and wellness, and it doesn't make me any less of a Black queen. And so also unpopular opinion, it was very helpful, y'all. Like, I'm not gonna lie, growing up, I always heard, keep your business inside the house or, go pray about it. But sometimes there's just that extra step that you have to take. And for me, it was therapy. So even though I'm a strong believer in God, you cannot pray depression away. Like, that just ain't gonna work. It takes professional help as well. And that's okay too. Like, it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to need help. And it's okay to ask for help and receive that help. We have to stop believing that we have to hold it together 24/7, keep our head up high, keep our shoulders back, and put on a smile. That's not even normal. Like, you're denying a piece of your own humanity when you do that. And something that's always stuck with me that my grandma actually told me is sometimes you just need to cry for no reason. Like, because life is a lot. And sometimes you just have to let it out. And sometimes that looks like a good, hard cry, whether it be by yourself, with your friends, or your significant other. Sometimes you just got to let that go. And it doesn't mean that you can't still trust God. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't still pray. It just means that you have to do your part as well. And that part may be, actually going out and seeking somebody to actually speak you, like a physical being that you can touch and feel. In the Black community, you often grow up hearing things like, what happens in this house stays in this house, or we don't do therapy. Stop telling folks all your business. Like, not to mention the gender roles and how they tell men, especially men of color, that they can't have feelings or they can't express their feelings in certain ways. Like, I know most of you guys have probably heard the whole, what you crying for? Stop all that crying. You ain't no girl, or quit acting like a sissy. emotions don't make you a woman. Emotions make you a real human being on this earth that is dealing with the ups and downs of life. Like, life just ain't this straight road. Like, it's got curves, it's got ups and downs, it's got potholes, it's got ditches, it's got, floods. Like, it's a whole lot that makes up 4 little letters. And we're all, circling this earth trying to figure it out. So I think it's important that we recognize that it's okay that we're feeling this way. But we just have to make sure, we're taking the steps to, deal with those things in a healthy manner. Because all of that BS of keeping it to yourself, or it makes you weak if you feel blah, blah, blah. Like, that's bullshit. Like, y'all do not have to fall prey to that. It's okay to go to therapy or counseling. It's healthy. And it doesn't necessarily have to be done only because you are struggling with a mental illness. So I think, like, that's important to note too, guys, is that you don't only have to go speak to someone because you've dealt with some traumatic experience or you're dealing with mental health challenges. It's perfectly okay to want to share your ups and downs with somebody who cannot judge you. But what they will do is give you the tools to help you deal with those things. Because, you can go talk to your friends, right? But your friends are only going to be able to help you so much based on what they know. But, like, sometimes you really need, like, professional help. But also, I want you guys to recognize that therapy will not fix you. It's not a fixer situation. It only provides you with an outlet and a guide on how to deal with your situation in a healthy manner so that you can bring yourself back to that 100% you. So you have to utilize the tools that they give you when you go. Same as, like, if you're a Christian and the Bible says, to pray, but you're supposed to pray and, do your part. Like, you're not just supposed to say, I'm drowning, Lord, help me. And then when he sends you a boat, you don't hop on, right? You got to, like, keep your mind open and be doing what you have to do on your end as well. So the reason I share such personal things with you guys is because I know y'all may be experiencing them as well. And I don't want anyone suffering alone because, quite honestly, I know what it tastes like. And it's much easier to deal with your situations if you have at least somebody who you can talk to or someone who can even relate to your specific situation. And if I can overcome these struggles, so can you, because, like, we're no different, right? And I want folks to know that I'm here to help. Whether I know you or not, like, to the extent that I can help also, like, because I think it's important that we be honest with ourselves and recognize that we can't help everybody the way they need to be helped. So sometimes we have to recommend and refer them to other people. I also know that some people are fighting battles that are much bigger than mine, and that have lasted much longer than mine, and they may literally feel like life is not worth living anymore. But I want y'all to know, like, keep fighting, please. And for anyone who is considering, or anyone who may consider in the future, or has ever considered suicide, I want you guys to keep in mind this information. If you have to write it down, if you have to put it in the notes on your phone, or if you even have to video record this section so that you can, support somebody else if they ever get to this point. The National Suicide Prevention Hotline number, call 1-800-273-8255. So I'm going to say that one more time. That's 1-800-273-8255. 8255. So the line is open 24/7. If you or someone that you know is in need of help, please don't hesitate to call. Please don't hesitate to bring up the fact that, like, your friend has been tweeting or putting out on Instagram some things that are concerning you. Like, reach out to them. I think so often people put out a lot of signs before they do certain things, and we get so caught up in our own lives and our own issues and what we're dealing with that we miss those cues, and then we're second guessing in hindsight later on once we've already lost them. Like, what could I have done better, or what could I have said, or is there anything I could have done to help them? And I guess the thing would be is to just pay attention. Pay attention to your friends, pay attention to your family, and pay attention to your own feelings. Because quite honestly, it's real. Suicide rates are rising, especially in, kids. So if you have children, have these conversations with them. Stop thinking like, my baby's too young for me to talk about this with her. No, like your baby most likely has already been thinking or talking about it already. So make sure you're guiding them in that conversation. I know, that's a real convo. And I know some of y'all may not be ready for it. Some of y'all, it may be overdue for y'all to hear these things because maybe some of y'all have been drowning in your own situations. So I think it's important that we have these conversations more often than not. But that was a big pill to swallow. So I'm going to go drink some more water and I'll be right back.
Don't wait to find what's in the past. Don't wait to see what's in love.
Ooh, Lord, y'all. So I know that conversation got real. It got very raw, but I felt it was very important to share. So let's keep this conversation going during the next episode of the Real Readback segment by diving into my comment section of the YouTube channel, Queen Renny Barnes, or emailing me at realnqr@gmail.com. And now that you guys have all of my social media platforms, you can look me up, send me a message on there as well. Don't be shy because I will let it, I'll tell it. But for anybody who missed it, my Instagram is at @QueenRenny_ and my Facebook is Sharon Darlene Barnes. But what I want you guys to tell me is, what are your thoughts on therapy or counseling? Have you ever dealt with depression or mental health challenges? What are some ways you cope? Do you have any questions for me in my mental health situation? Because, man, I got something to say. I do have other things that I've been doing to help that I didn't share. So if you guys ever want to know those things, feel free to ask. But basically, I would love to hear from all of you guys so we could talk about it on episode 4. And also, so I know we are 3 episodes in and y'all have only heard from me. So some of y'all might be like, dang, like, when we gonna hear from somebody else? So it's coming. Tune in next Thursday, actually, and we will be doing the first segment of This Verse That with Dr. Darlene Willis. Yes. Tune in to find out about the juicy topics we'll be talking about and how we end up keeping it real and raw. Okay. With that all being said, let's wrap this episode up with a positive vibe. In the words of the late, great Sean E. Washington II and my big brother, close your eyes, take a deep breath, and reflect. It'll be all right. Most of the time, things work out fine when you just relax your mind. Sending peace and love. Queen Renny out.